whatever your native language is. I just found one of the reasons why one of my friends was not passing. He starts too many sentences with if, and he starts too many sentences with like. Now, I know you've been given the advice. Maybe you are like my friend and you always inject a sentence that starts with if or like into your answers because other people have told you that the test makers like complex sentences. Even if that's true, you should not be artificially injecting sentences, thoughts into your answers. This is what I mean when I say I don't like templates. Okay, this would be like one of the physical therapists that I work with. That would be like if I broke my leg and they're treating me, and I tell the physical therapist, I'm walking great. I'm using my crutch and I'm walking great. And them telling me, okay, in a few days, we're going to take you off of that crutch so that your leg that you broke can start to regain its strength. You need to get stronger. As a patient, maybe I'm not going to like that at first. Maybe I'm not going to like, no, physical therapist, this crutch helps me to walk right now. I can't walk without it. It's the physical therapist's job to show the patient that is a crutch that is preventing your natural leg strength from returning, from strengthening itself. You guys that like having go-to sentences, I'm going to start a sentence with if. I'm going to start a sentence with like. This is going to be a complex sentence that the test makers like. This is going to be a sentence that I know I can go to when I'm in doubt. Instead of having to think spontaneously, you actually like doing the thing that is hurting you from increasing your speaking advanced fluency, therefore increasing your speaking section score and passing your test faster. To those of you who relate to that, there's a lot more where that came from. Very hard to prove. But if you understand what I'm talking about and you know that you enjoy having those go-to sentences and they make you feel good because other people have advised it, what I can tell when you give in your answer, what a human grader and not necessarily a computer or a website that helps you avoid speaking to humans when you practice. The websites are great tools, but it's only one of many tools you need to be using. Speaking to humans spontaneously that are not your coworkers or other people who already know you and respect you is another way to have the stakes be higher, to use your confidence to develop your true speaking confidence. Those of you that have been going to sentences that start with if, that start with like, you're preventing yourself from thinking in a 100% natural way. So your inorganic thinking, the inorganic way that you're strategy-wise approaching the question is not only preventing you from getting 26, but it's worse than that. That's why your scores have not been increasing over time. So stop having any plan of how you're going to answer the question until you see the question, it's read to you, and then you read it to yourself again the second time. That's what you should be doing with your 15 seconds to prepare. You should be reading the question a second time, finding the key words that you can attack. Maybe you're going to use a sentence that starts with if, maybe you won't. Finding the key phrases that you can attack. Maybe that's going to be in a positive way. Maybe that's going to be in a negative way. It's certainly not automatically going to include a sentence that starts with if. It's certainly not going to always include a personal example. Sometimes it will if it's natural. But all of these ways, you guys looked for these answers. The people that I help have been struggling to get 26 on speaking because they started off doing something that they thought was helpful, getting advice. But unfortunately, some of the advice that's given is not advice that's going to help them to get 26. It's advice that was given because that was the best that the person who was giving the advice could give at that time. It's now up to you, healthcare providers, individually, to think critically on your own. You have to decide where is your speaking the best. I was just working with my friend, a physical therapist from Europe. I'm not going to say his name. He knows who he is. And in a question that has to do with something he could have been confident, it had to do with, he had told me that his family member, in a previous meeting, he had talked about a family member. So I knew this question very much applied to something that he could speak confidently about. It was not a question about something very random, something he's never heard of, in a place he's never been to. It wasn't one of those kind of questions, a subject he never thinks about. It was about something that when I asked him, it's like, hey, you could have been confidently speaking about that. He was surprised in a positive way. He was surprised. He became enthusiastic because he saw, like, yeah, I should have given a much better answer about this. I showed him how his old habits of artificially injecting sentences because they hit higher marks in advancement was hurting him. How could it hurt him, Aaron? Whatever your native language is, respectfully, I want you to think, if I told you I'm going to become an advanced speaker, advanced, and then you give me some advanced phrases or advanced words, okay? Like other people have told you, advanced, complex sentences are advanced. Okay, let's assume that they are. Now, if you told me in your native language to do something that's advanced, okay, it's advanced. But what if I start doing it too much? What if I do it all the time or too much in an unnatural way? The frequency is very high, it's too high. You, as a human grader, can tell this guy is just always injecting the advanced thing, thereby making my speaking not advanced. It's too manufactured.